people would say you need to lower your standards. And I know that there are people out there saying that to other people and people that are dating that are just like so hyper picky. What do you say about that? Like, where's the threshold?
What's interesting is many people have really high standards for things that don't matter and terribly low standards for things that do. They'll be picky about the fact that this person's not quite as tall as they would like, or that this person doesn't quite have the style that I like, or that this person, I don't like this thing on their dating profile. Meanwhile, they'll date someone for 2 years who treats them like crap, who they've decided is the right style and charisma and sexiness and whatever. And that person treats them like crap, treats them as disposable, picks them up, puts them down, completely inconsistent with their communication, says they're not ready for a relationship, or says I'm confused, I don't know what I want.
Why do we do that? Because there's this person that will treat you amazingly, that is so wonderful and loving, and for some reason that person's not perfect on paper, or maybe it's because of what other people will think of us if we date that person. Does that play into it?
Well, yeah, I think there's a big ego element to dating that hurts us, where we think that they don't look the part that our friends or our family or our community would think we would go for, or even what we've decided is the blueprint for what the person I end up with is going to look like or be like. We've defined this package in our head of what we're looking for, and very few of those things have anything to do with what's going to make us happy. It just has to do with a kind of a type that we've predetermined, and if someone doesn't quite fit that type, then we judge them, or we have contempt for them, or we decide that they're not right for us before we even give someone a chance. So I do think that's a big problem. We attract what is familiar to us. There are many reasons we go for people who are bad for us. I list them all in a chapter called Never Satisfied in this book. But one of them is the scarcity mindset. We're worried no one better is going to come along, or no one's going to come along at all. Another reason is because it's what we know. Lack of consistency might be something that's very familiar to us. And maybe we grew up with it. Maybe we grew up with parents who turned on and off the tap of attention and love. And we have this core issue with abandonment. But what we learned was that that's what love felt like. Love feels like this roller coaster. So someone comes along and makes us feel that, and it feels familiar. It feels like something our nervous system is used to. And I think a key principle for people to understand is that we don't tend to gravitate towards what makes us happy. We gravitate towards what is comfortable. And what is comfortable can be terrible. It could be hell, but it's what we know.
If someone's listening to this right now and they're leaning in and they're like, I do this. I do this. Every relationship that I'm in is something that I'm comfortable with. It's a repetition of something that I grew up with, and I don't even know where to set my standards. Like, what's the first step that someone could take to really understand and know what is right for them, or what patterns they need to break in order to move forward and find that real love?
At the very least, what we can observe is that there are people out there who seem to be having a different experience than we are. There are people out there who seem to be in loving, kind, loyal relationships that seem to be a genuine team. If that is out there, then what's going on that I'm not experiencing that? Whatever we grew up with or got used to, either in formative relationships or from our parents or caregivers, it became our norm. And I talk about it like a dolphin in captivity. If a dolphin gets taught to jump through hoops for fish and do backflips, and that humans will feed you, then when you release the dolphin into the ocean, you can't blame it for doing all of the same tricks to get food, even though they're entirely irrelevant in the ocean. And by the way, it doesn't mean that dolphin has like some irreversible self-worth problem. It just is doing what it knows.
Yes.
Right? And that's I think sometimes self-worth is a big subject, but sometimes we look at everything through the lens of self-worth instead of looking at things also through the lens of habit and territory that we've already mapped. By the way, when we experienced it in our tank, we didn't know it was a tank. We just thought that's life. That's how things are. And we wired our nervous system in response to that. You know how many times in life I've been on time for something and in a peaceful place, and then I do one more thing that I didn't even need to do that makes me late. And now I'm rushing, like I'm going to have to get there in time, and I'm going to be late. The problem is that energy in my life has been something that has been normal for me for a long time, ever since I was growing up. I got taught that chaotic energy. So even though I'd say I don't like it, and I'm like, oh God, it's so stressful when I'm in a rush and I hate being late. Even though I say I hate it, there's something about it that is familiar.
Yeah, you subconsciously attract it.
Yeah,
you do things.
I like make myself late. late.
Yeah.
And it's a bit of a rush. And it's a bit of a like, now I've got to make it on time. We do that in all sorts of areas of our life. And when something comes along that isn't like that, and they have a different energy to that, someone comes along who is straightforward, we may not know what to do with that energy. It might be entirely unfamiliar to us. A friend I write about in the book who dated a guy that was really awful to her. Right after that guy, she started dating a guy that was just very, very kind. Her mum asked her, like, how's it going? And she said, it's so weird, mum. He's so nice to me. And her mum said, that's how it's supposed to be. For her, it felt strange. It didn't present as initially like really great. It just presented as weird because that's not what she was used to. What we have to do is say, other people are having a different experience than me. Why do I keep having my experience? Race car driver Mario Andretti said, tip for race car driving, don't look at the wall. The car goes where your eyes go. So don't look at the wall. When I heard that, I thought, this isn't like just a throwaway, interesting kind of like motivational line. It really deeply resonated with me because I came to realize more and more in my life, there were areas where I just kept crashing into the wall, not consciously knowing what was going on, what was happening here that I kept crashing into the wall. Why is this my experience over and over again and not other people's experience over and over again? When you start becoming aware that the results you're getting in your life are your wall, you may not know it's the wall because like I said, if you get close enough to the wall all the time, you don't think it's a wall, you just think it's the world. You just think that's life. The more I became aware that these results I was getting were my wall, the more I realized, oh my God, there's something I'm doing. There's some way I'm going through life that keeps attracting this same thing.